why we build sexual desire in our intimate relationships as sensitive people. We build sexual desire because as sensitive people, if we understand ourselves and we understand the world around us, we know that we have opposite needs to people who are logical. And often we are in relationship with people who are logical intimately because there are so few sensitive people on the planet. We are a growing portion of the population. I think more and more people are waking up to being sensitive all the time. Having said that, logically driven people still write the norms of our society. Even AI is driven by logic, and everybody uses AI to study information these days. So what do sensitive people know about relationships that creates sexual desire with logical people? Well, number one, we understand how our needs are different. For example, sensitive people might feel the need to show their affection in public because they want to feel secure that the affection is there. Whether or not we do that depends on our level of depth and understanding of logical people. So logical people actually desire the opposite in their relationship. They like to do their intimate business behind closed doors. They don't like to post on social media. They often have no social media. Whereas sensitive people like to be more open and share with the world everything that they're passionate about. And if you're an enlightened sensitive person, you understand that your needs are very likely opposite to the logical person's needs. And because we understand that, we create sexual desire with them by doing things the way that they need them to be done. So we may want more public declarations of love, like receiving flowers or receiving cards. We understand that our best chance of actually receiving that is by meeting the needs of logical people first. It means that we're going to be very private about our relationships. We're not going to put it on social media. We're not going to talk about it even too much with our friends. We're going to keep things very, very private. And if the logical partner does meet our friends one day, our friends will be very surprised because we've kept it very low profile. The logical person's going to love that. And the more you do things the way logical people love having them done, they're more likely to come around and meet your needs as a sensitive person. However, it's not guaranteed, and you should never expect them to meet your needs in the way that you want them to be met. Instead, as a sensitive person, you need to find other ways to meet your needs. So if you love public declarations of love, maybe you need to go out with your female friends and take pictures together. Maybe you need to go to a party where people tell you that you're so great, rather than expecting the logical partner to do these things for you. Maybe you need to meditate and tell yourself how great you are. And as sensitive people, we're more likely to understand these things about ourselves and meet our needs on our own compared to logical people. And when we do that, we actually build a lot more sexual desire in our partnerships with logical people than many other people do in their relationships. The next thing we understand about building desire as sensitive people that logical people don't always understand is we don't voice our needs overtly, and we don't create arguments or nagging with logical people unless it's an issue that's potentially threatening the end of the relationship. So the top 3 to 4 things that people do fight about where you need to set boundaries and talk to the other person as a sensitive person would be the following. It would be how you raise children, if you have children. It would be how you spend money. It would be how to spend money. It could be religion and levels of intimacy that are allowed within the parameters of the relationship, especially if you're not married. And then the final one is the division of labor in the household if you are already married, like who's doing the vacuuming and who's doing the dishwashing. So as sensitive people, we know if it's not something worth breaking up the marriage or breaking up the relationship over, we are just gonna let things be. Don't nag and complain over the small things. Too much nagging and too much complaining kills relationships and kills marriages these days, and they're already so fragile and so vulnerable to failure. That's why if we're gonna bring up anything, we set a boundary and we say this is gonna be how it is. Like, if you don't believe in sex before marriage, for example, you just state the boundary and that's how it is, and that's your personal choice, by the way. I'm not saying you absolutely have to do that, but that could be your standard. It depends on who you are as a person, and you have to feel that out intuitively. Or maybe your standard is your partner needs to be living on their own. They can't be living with their mom and dad. And that may depend on your personal situation too, if you're living with your mom and dad or you live on your own. And so you set that standard in that relationship, and that's a make or break thing. But you're not going to complain because the person bought you this type of flowers versus that type of flowers, or they showed up 15 minutes late. You know, these little things we know better than to nag and complain. I mean, if they really ditch you all the time, then yeah, that would be something worth setting a boundary on. But anything that's not worth breaking up the relationship, you shouldn't be nagging and complaining about. You should just set the boundary and say, that's how it is, and take it or leave it. And you know, logical people actually find that sexy because you stood up for yourself. Sometimes they will push you to see if you will stand up for yourself. And it's very important to be clear on what's not the critical issues in the relationship that are worth arguing about, but then knowing exactly what is working or what is worth standing up for yourself for, because sometimes logical people will test you on those things. As sensitive people, we also build sexual tension by not complaining about our insecurities and only noticing our positive qualities. Doesn't mean we don't work on something. If we know we need to constructively work on losing weight, for example, we work on it, but we don't criticize ourselves for being fat. You see what the difference is there? And we especially don't do that in front of our logical partners, because we want them to comfort us when we do that, but actually the opposite will happen. In their mind, they'll go, oh, they're right, they are fat, or oh, they're right, they are stupid. So don't criticize yourself, and especially don't do that in front of the logical person. It's a really, really bad thing. You won't get the comfort that you're hoping for from them. In fact, don't expect them to comfort you over anything ever, really. Go to your friends for that. Go to your community for that. But leave your logical partner alone, and don't seek their support on deeper issues, because they're usually not capable of giving the support that you need. Rather, let them show you their love and show you their support in their own way, on their own terms, and in their own time, rather than demanding it from them. And you'll have a much better result, and you'll build a lot more sexual tension with your logical partner.